troubled times, it's you I see. I put you first, that's all I need. I humble all I am, all to you. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. You're the only one, you're the only one, you're the only one that I could live for. You're the only one, you're the only one, you're the only one that I could live for. I lay my life down at your feet. You're the only one I need. I turn to you and you are always there. In troubled times, it's you I see. I put you first, that's all I need. I humble all I am, all to you. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. Are you having fun? Well, what we're going to do now is we're all going to get down nice and low. That's it. How low can you go? And we're going to sing, you are the way, the truth, and the life. Come on, let me hear you. You are the way, the truth, and the life. We live by faith and not by sight for you. We're living all for you. Up a bit higher. You are the way, the truth, and the life. We live by faith and not by sight for you. We're living all for you. You are the way. You are the way, the truth, and the life. We live by faith and not by sight for you. We're living all for you. You are the way, the truth, and the life. We live by faith and not by sight for you. We're living all for you. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. Come on!
And welcome back, people. It's me again, and this week we are wrapping up our series Superfan. We have spent the last 3 weeks talking about being fans of our favorite people and learning how to show them some love and kindness along the way. You see, we do not hesitate to put on our team jerseys or team gear to let people know who we root for. When we cheer people on, we are letting others know who is important to us. But many times, the people that we should cheer on the most are not on teams or on TV. They are sitting right next to us at home, at school, at church. They're everywhere we look. Speaking of looking, today's story is about seeing people the way God sees them. Regardless of our differences, we should always show people the same love Jesus showed for us. Maybe after today's story, you will see people just a little bit different. As the great Mr. Rogers once said, "Would you be my neighbor?" Check this out.
The Bible. It's 66 books of history, stories, letters, and poetry that fit together to form God's one big story. The epic adventure of how He created us and loves us so much that He made a way to rescue us. As we travel through the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, we discover people who met God and found their lives changed forever. Now, for an amazing story, inspired by the book of Luke, chapter 10, verses 25 through 37.
Everywhere Jesus went, crowds of people followed. His popularity made the religious leaders kind of nervous, how he turned their expectations upside down.
What is he up to anyway?
So they began to look for ways to trip him up. One day, a law expert saw his chance to test Jesus.
Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?
Jesus turned the question right back on the law expert. What is written in the law? How do you read it?
Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind. And love your neighbor as yourself.
You have answered correctly. Do this and you will live. But the law expert wanted to discover the very least he could do to obey the law, so he got tricky.
Yes, but really, who is my neighbor?
Jesus looked directly at the law expert and he saw what was in his heart. So Jesus began a story. A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho. Now, if Jesus were to tell this story today, it might go something like this. There's a man that we'll call Ben, who needed to travel from Jerusalem to Jericho. It was a lonely, rugged road, but he was well prepared.
Got my water skin, got my quail jerky, got my snake repellent, got my large number of clinking gold coins.
Stick 'em up!
Uh-oh, forgot my mace.
A band of robbers attacked Ben. They took everything, leaving him half dead by the side of the road.
Help! Please, help me.
There was no one to hear. The sun beat down. Shadows shifted as the day wore on. At last, he heard footsteps. Through shimmering heat, he could barely see a man in khakis and a blue button-down shirt.
In the beginning, let me Google the Greek word for beginning. That'll make me sound more intelligent.
The man was a preacher working on his Sunday sermon.
Help me.
The preacher spotted Ben lying there in the dust, but he immediately looked down at his phone, pretending not to see. Instead, he crossed to the other side of the street, putting as much space between him and Ben as possible.
Please.
But the preacher was gone. Ben's throat was dry now. He could barely swallow. Finally, he saw someone else.
I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul.
A worship leader was now trekking down the road. He wore skinny jeans, an unnecessary scarf, and AirPods.
Help me.
Well, the worship leader definitely saw Ben, but he cranked up the volume on his AirPods and shimmied to the other side of the road as he passed.
I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I'm gonna run away.
As the man's voice faded away, Ben was left in despair. Shadows lengthened as evening approached. Once again, Ben heard someone coming. Turning his head, he could just barely make out a donkey. Perhaps he could tell from the way the person was dressed that this person wasn't a Jew. He was a Samaritan.
Oh no.
Jews and Samaritans were enemies. Even though the two groups were related, there was a history of bitter conflict between them, and the Samaritans worshiped God in a different way than the Jews did. Long story short, a Samaritan would have been the last person Ben would have wished to find him.
What's that by the road?
Instead of ignoring Ben, though, the Samaritan man slowed down and got off his donkey.
Oh no, who did this?
The Samaritan quickly rummaged for supplies in his bag.
Here, have some water. Those are nasty gashes. I've got oil and wine to clean them out.
The Samaritan bandaged Ben's wounds and hefted him onto his own donkey.
Steady, steady. Hey, wrap your arms around his neck, like this.
By the time darkness fell, the Samaritan brought Ben to an inn where the injured man could recover.
Thank you. Thank you.
In the morning, the Samaritan gave the innkeeper some money.
Please, take care of this man. I'll return and pay you back for any extra expenses.
Goodbye. Thank you.
When Jesus finished the story, no one said a word. He looked directly at the law expert. Which of these three do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers? The law expert fidgeted. To admit that the Samaritan had acted as a true neighbor was to say that everyone is a neighbor, no matter how different they may be.
I suppose, in this case, one would have to say, the man who had mercy on him.
Go and do likewise. Jesus' story was clear. Love your neighbor as yourself isn't limited to just the people in your neighborhood. Your neighbor means anyone who needs you to show them God's love.
So, Jesus said to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And who is our neighbor? Well, it's the person who lives next door to us, or in our apartment building, or in your neighborhood, or the town you grew up in, or your country, or you get the point. The truth is your neighbor is everyone. That includes people who look different than you or even believe different than you. People who have more money than you or less money than you. Literally everyone. Jesus said we should go and be kind to. That's right, everyone. Sometimes we wrestle with ourselves when it comes time to show kindness to someone who we don't even get along with or even know, or someone we don't even make time for. What do we do when the opportunity comes for us to connect with someone or even help a total stranger? Maybe we can try to put ourselves in their shoes. It's amazing to know that there are billions of people with all kinds of incredible differences out there, and we get to do life with them every day. The important thing to ask ourselves is this: are we paying attention to others? It's an important thing to ask because God will use us all to help cheer one another on during all kinds of circumstances. Good times, bad times, scary times, sad times, at all times. Here's the one thing for us to remember today. Be kind to people who are different from you. Don't just think about what you want or need, but put yourselves in their shoes and think about what they would want or need. It literally is possible to be kind to everyone. So this week, ask God to help you see people differently so you can cheer them on and show them the same love Jesus has shown you.